Right, welcome ladies and gents to my spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I watched it last night at midnight. Did my review at about 10 past or 20 past 3 in the morning. My spoiler-free review, I'll leave linked above. Please do go and check that out. But many of you guys wanted my spoiler thoughts, I guess. So on some bits and pieces of that. So I'm awake, I'm alive. Still pretty tired. Well, I'm going to give you my spoiler review of the film. I will say my spoiler-free review is pretty damn good, actually. It's, well, if I say so myself, it's pretty thorough. So this is really just talking about the spoilery bits, like the cameos and things like that. If you want quite a thorough breakdown of the movie, technically what was good and bad and things like that, then the spoiler-free review is probably best to go and watch. But you might get a good sense of this anyway, you know, in this review. So let's check this out, shall we? Let's dive right into the spoilers of Deadpool and Wolverine. So you've been warned. It's in the bloody title, so I'm not warning you again. It's a spoiler review. In my spoiler-free review, I ended up giving it about a 6 or a 7, I think, out of 10, just on a movie rating, and then like a 7.5, I think I gave it for a Marvel movie rating. This movie's not great, and it's not sort of... It's just fine. Like, it's just a fine movie. I think this definitely suffers from sort of overhyped. It's definitely overhyped, for sure. So, what is the actual story? Let's break it down spoilery, okay? So, Deadpool... We see Deadpool applying for the Avengers. We see... He's in 2 different Earths. So, he was in 616, then he was in 100 something. 2 different multiverses. I'm not quite sure why or how that happened. And how that pertains to Logan dying. And that being the reason why his world is going to die. Because that is the movie. That's the reason why this movie exists. Is he was in multiple different timelines, different universes. The universe he's currently in technically is his, but then he was shown to be in 616. I'm a bit confused by all of that, but never mind. It is confusing. Anyway, his Logan dies. Who's his Logan? His Logan is the one from Logan, right? Okay. When an anchor being dies, the universe disintegrates. Now it's a riff on the fact that, you know, there is one character that keeps a movie universe alive. And because Logan it ended the Fox universe, basically, there hasn't been any others. Or that's the reason why, etc. So it's kind of a riff on that. Anyway, Deadpool gets plucked up by the TVA. And he gets offered, hey, you can go and be in another universe. You can be someone, you can be something, but we are going to destroy your universe. Okay. Interesting. This is by Mr. Paradox. Mr. Paradox works for the TVA, but he's also trying to create a Time Ripper. I think it was a Time Ripper. A device that accelerates the destruction of a universe. They apparently now, the TVA, because of the events of Loki, the TVA now just let the universe disintegrate slowly, rather than just pruning it completely. Which I am a bit surprised that they're going with this, because it does seemingly undo some stuff within Loki anyway. Because at the end of Loki Season 2, Loki sits at the centre of all time, keeping all the timelines together, right? He's holding all of the timelines. He now is, you know, he's burdened with great purpose, blah, 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 blah. And so I don't know whether that actually undoes any of that. I'm not sure. But that's the story. So Deadpool then goes to find another Logan, because he's like, well, we can just get another Logan and it'll keep this universe alive. But then obviously the Time Ripper gets revealed, and then they get sent, because Deadpool doesn't like that, obviously, doesn't want his universe to die. He then gets sent to the limbo place. I can't remember what they called it. But basically the limbo place where Eliath is. Again, it was in Loki. You wouldn't really know about it otherwise, but it was in Loki. Blah, 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 blah. Cassandra Nova's there. Cassandra Nova and a whole bunch of other mutants and other things, other timelines, 20th Century Fox, Chris Evans as Human Torch, all this kind of stuff. I'll tell you about the cameos in a minute. I'm just trying to get the storyline done. It's very convoluted. And Cassandra Nova obviously doesn't want, wants a bit more power and to destroy all the timelines. So it's just her and the end of time and just there. And so she controls, she comes out, she gets the Time Ripper, and then to save the day, Deadpool or Wolverine have to sacrifice themselves to, destroy the Time Ripper or some shit. Who bloody knows? And they basically touch one another's arms, and they both channel the power through one another. Actually, in fairness, it's actually the ending of Guardians of the Galaxy. You remember Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, where they're touching the... Yeah, it's literally that, isn't it? Fucking hell. Wow. Anyway, they just ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy ending. But because there was two of them, they managed to channel the power, and it didn't kill them, and then they saved the day. In all of this, there are lots of cameos. Right. Let's talk about the cameos. So, I had to get the story done first to talk about the cameos. When Deadpool goes through trying to find a Logan, because he needs to find a Logan, that's part of the story, that's when you see very quick, and it is very quick, montage of various different Wolverine variants, right? Are they good? Not really. You don't really see them that much. It's very throwaway. So you see various versions, and then there's a Henry Cavill Logan, and then that's basically it, right? Like, they're not really there. They're there for all of... They probably have an accumulative screen time of about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. I would imagine, if you were to time it. Might feel a bit longer in the film, but it can't be that long. It just can't be. So, is that worth it? No. It's pretty lame, actually. Personally, I just think that's pretty lame. Anyway. The start of the movie, because I've got to jump back to the start a little bit. Do you remember how this movie was advertised as something which wouldn't disrespect the previous Logan and, all of that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah? Well, I mean, it does, because Deadpool quite literally digs up the corpse of that Logan from the movie Logan and plays with the corpse, plays with the skeleton, and uses all of the bones to kill the TVA. And it's in that sequence, that opening sequence, which really sets the tone of the movie, which is, it isn't respectful to what came before it. The whole purpose of the movie is to riff on it and close the door. It's not actually a goodbye in a respectful way, and that might be fine for some people. Other people might be offended by it. I'm not saying either I was or not. I just didn't really care for it either way. But that definitely sets the tone. And then that single fight sequence sets the tone for the entire movie as well. Overlong. Drawn out. Should have had a better editor. Right? All of these things. Poor jokes. Quite corny. That opening fight sets the tone for the entire movie. It's indicative of the entire movie. Which is not good, obviously. So anyway, he does grab a Logan. We don't actually really learn much about this Logan, to be honest. He's just a bit of a deadbeat. He let his X-Men die because he was out drinking or something like that, and then he went mental and just murdered loads and loads of men and whatever, right? We don't really know much about it, and it would have more emotional weight if we did learn more about him. And the problem with this movie is it's overstuffed. Like, there are cameos in here for cameo's sake. Some definitely, although they're written into a narrative, the cameos are surplus to the requirements of the film. If you removed some of the cameos and had a Deadpool and Wolverine team up just with the TVA, and you learned more about that Logan, that Wolverine, it would be a better film. It 100% would be a better film. So you don't really learn much about this Logan, but he's very reluctant to go with Deadpool. Deadpool drags him anyway. He's got a costume on, obviously. Now, the costume's really cool to see. It works in live action. He only wears the mask at the end of the film, so don't expect him to be in the mask for the majority of the film. He's basically only in it at the end. And actually, some of that is a full-blown CGI model, and some of it is dog shit. Like, some of that CGI... We know how bad Marvel CGI has been for a while. It's as bad as that. Like, it's not good. And I just don't understand why they did it. But anyway, it's good to see the costume, but they make the costume the butt of a joke. Like, Deadpool jokes about the costume a lot. So, it kind of wants to be this thing that's respectful, or it's trying to present itself as respectful, because they're like, oh, it only took 20 years to get the costume. Yeah, it did, and people want to see the costume, but then you're making it a joke, which is weird. So, whatever. And the jokes don't all land, by the way. This is not like a laugh out loud, funny, non-stop, ha ha ha, real knee slapper. You know, it's fine. So, yeah. Anyway, who are the other cameos? Well, we get Wesley Snipes' Blade. Is it good to see him? Yes. Cool. Yeah. Does he still kick ass? Yeah, cool, he does. Absolutely. Elektra's there. You know this. You probably read some of the leaks. Elektra's there. We've got X-23. She was in a trailer. I don't know why they chose to reveal that. Not quite sure how she got there or who she is. Because if we're running off the timeline, Logan in Deadpool's world is dead. So X-23 is from that world. She's not a variant. She is... Well, she is technically a variant, I guess. But she is that Logan. She is that X-23. Not quite sure why she's there, though, in the nowhere space. Bizarre. But anyway, she's there. They shouldn't have revealed her in the trailer. Gambit, played by, of course, Channing Tatum. He's there. Costume doesn't work. Works in part, but, you know, these live-action translations don't always land sometimes. And his accent is absolutely awful. And again, they make a massive joke out of it. Does it land? Some of it does. Not all of it. And again, it's that sort of... Is it respectful? No, it's not. The other cameos, you've got Pyro from the X-Men. You've got Toad from the X-Men. You've got that first Sabretooth. He was in the trailer. Again, Chris Evans as the Human Torch. You've got someone trying to be Vinnie Jones' Juggernaut, but he's not obviously Vinnie Jones. It's someone else. They did try to get Vinnie Jones in the movie. You've got Zazzle. You've got a woman trying to be that Asian woman with the long adamantium claw things from one of the other X-Men movies, whatever it was called. Cassandra Nova, I guess. Trying to think of other cameos. You've got loads of Deadpools. They don't really serve a purpose, though. It's honestly like they thought that would make really, a cool shot for the trailer. But they don't really serve a purpose. And this is what I mean. Like the Deadpool core, Dogpool, Nicepool, all these kind of things. That should have been another movie, right? Should have been a completely separate movie. They don't really serve any purpose. They are literally included for sex appeal because of Ladypool, which is played by Blake Lively. Doesn't take the mask off, but it's shown in the credit sequence. You can see Blake Lively, so cool, fine, whatever. But it's like they're there just for an action sequence, which is entirely CGI of Deadpool and Wolverine killing them all, and then they just get up anyway. And that CGI Wolverine is bloody awful, really rubbery and dog shit. I don't. Cassandra Nova's a throwaway villain. She dies at the end. It's kind of like, she's a cool villain if you did more with her. She rips the skin off Chris Evans' Human Torch, which was kind of cool. And he just crumples to the floor in a big pile of bones. But it's not as funny. The trailer makes it out to be this incredibly hilarious, knee-slapping good time and a big old road trip. And it's really not. It's Deadpool trying to save his world, gets Wolverine, ends up in nowhere land, and then immediately back on one street. It's actually quite enclosed. It's not that big. They could have done so much more with this. Anyway, it ends, so just to clarify, it ends with Wolverine and Deadpool alive. His world saved. Also, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, does basically confirm that he probably won't be seen again. Fine. And that's kind of it. It's the post-credit sequence is literally just not really an outtake, but it's referencing an earlier scene with Chris Evans' Human Torch, just running his mouth. It's no grander implication for anything else, which they really should have used that as an opportunity to. And this is where Marvel is really, really stupid. right? And they are very, very dumb for this. The post-credit sequence should have been used to get people excited for future movies, right? Absolutely it should have been. Because no one is, barely anyone's excited. I say no one, barely anyone's excited for anything else Marvel is coming out with for the next couple of years, right? Who cares about Thunderbolts? Who gives a shit about Thunderbolts? Who cares realistically outside of the hardcore fans about Captain America 4? Not many people, right? This movie would have multiple eyes on it outside of the people that are going to those movies. They should have used this post-credit sequence to get people excited, and there's no implication further down the line. It does end also, just real quick, with X-23 in Marvel World. So maybe they'll use her as Wolverine moving forwards. I don't know. Daphne Keane works with Disney now because obviously she did The Acolyte. She's in this now as well. Who knows? But there you go. That's my spoiler review. If I've missed anything, I'm sorry. I'm bloody tired. I did my best. Cheers, guys. Leave your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this review, hit subscribe. Take care. Bye-bye now.